My name is Paul Bear. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's go over to our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. We want to thank them. And of course, one of the things you can do is start your journey in your own crypto IRA. And of course, one of the things you can do is do this before the end of the year. Actually, you actually have a little bit of a buffer there to get your IRA started and get kind of your tax planning going. But check it out, itrustcapital.com. You can buy, sell crypto over there, gold and silver, a lot of that. Start a brand new one, roll a crypto or an IRA over. A lot of ways to get involved. All you have to do is use our link and get $100 in a funding reward. All right, so joining us today is, of course, Mariano, coming over from Trading Parrot. If you haven't visited his YouTube channel, go over and check it out. It's right here, Trading Parrot. He does a great job on a lot of his videos, so I like it. I'm subscribed, and I watch his videos all the time, so he comes in on our show every once in a while. So, hey, Mariano, how are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one today. So let's break down Bitcoin. A few things going on right now. Some of the things everybody's kind of looking at is, one, of course, is Microsoft, the potential of maybe a purchase by them. And of course, this is a pretty big deal. So this is a voting item for the December 10th shareholder meeting. It could come in on that. Let me kind of zoom in on that right there. And that's the assessment of investing in Bitcoin. This would be a pretty big deal for Microsoft. If you think about their market cap, where they are currently, how much cash they have on hand, and where they're going to put it, because right now all cash is doing is just inflating. So the opportunity for them is pretty significant. If you look at the Poly market list right now, it's about a 10 to 11% chance of Microsoft shareholders voting for a Bitcoin investment. I don't know if this is going to happen, but what I do know is the charts. And that is what we're going to take a look today. I want to look at Bitcoin right now in the charts yourself. What do you like right now? Do you feel like we are finally back on a bullish trend?
We have the best chance at the moment to do that breakout. Where are we at the moment? September has been green, October has been green. So we are ready to take the big picture and say, sure, every time that happens, we get a continuation in November. I think November is a very decisive month. We get into November, if after an October we have green, November is the month that not just decides what happens with December, but actually when you get that green November, you kind of carry over up until March pretty much. So November is the decisive moment for the continuation of what we achieve up until. So far, if we focus on the performance of Bitcoin in this green area, which represents each October, but I also have flagged in here every 4 years the equivalent year, and only in 2012 October was negative. But if you get that October negative, then you get positive in November, which is good. And I think we are on track with the seasonality of October. So again, let's see what happens in November as well. So far, we are ready for the picture. Even in the monthly, we have seen already a breakout, and you can see all over the place in YouTube, crypto, Twitter, everybody claiming that we have already broken out, and even socials are telling us that we are in a similar place that where we were in 2020. But let's first look into the short term. We have these two CME gaps. We have one form this week on Wednesday at 66.8, which seems to be currently attracting the price to close the gap. Hopefully we can get that one out of the way. On the 4 hour, for those that are interested in the short term, what could come next, we can see that we are rolling over. This price action that I'm seeing in here all the way on the 4 hour is very similar to what we saw in 2021 in here. Bitcoin tends to do this rolling over where it's still doing higher highs, but it starts trapping more and more longs. And that is a typical distribution area. Thanks God that this is just on the 4 hours, so it could have less impact. And one of the reasons is that spot since 66K we can see that there's been only selling compared to futures, which they are doing what they usually do, which is speculate with the price and every swing of the price. What is actually promising at the moment, and this is one of the charts that I have featured before when you invite me, Paul, is this open interest chart. This open interest is acting as a leading indicator sometimes. And we can see that the range of the open interest in the past 8 months has been between 21 billion and 15 billion. And right now we have broken out on the top end in here, above 21 billion. And we are currently holding it. And that is promising, but just from the futures end, not from the spot end. That we need retail to enter and start buying on spot. Every single breakout that is healthy, sustainable, and that continues to the upside needs to be a combination of both, not just futures. The things that are also good is that the whales, the big whales, are continuing to accumulate. This is something seasonal. They do this at this time in the cycle, and they have done a great job accumulating at the moment at a ratio of 0.4. That means that withdrawals are massively outpacing the deposits from the end. The thing that has slowed down a little bit is the long-term holders. And this is a little bit concerning because all the accumulation from long-term holders that they managed to do from July up until mid-September, it has retraced slightly, a bit more than I would like. But for the picture, everything looks perfect from the technical point of view. This is a textbook preparation for a breakout. We drew these lines in July based on the past performance on all these megafunds in here. I think we featured these megafunds long time ago in July, and we were expecting to see something like this. And we should be happy that we are almost 90% completed on that. But we need to acknowledge as well what are the missing bits that could make the whole, put the cherry on top of the cake if you want. And on the weekly, that is reflected on the RSI, the stochastic RSI. All those indicators are pointing towards something really positive. We even have the liquidity on the upside at the moment. On the short term, on the longer term, there is a huge, massive wall of liquidity pools. The market maker must be going crazily happy, thinking at some point, even the exchanges must be thinking, we are going to hit this wall and we're going to take that juice, but when it's the right time.
A lot of, right now we're still looking at potential institutional drivers that really kind of control the price of Bitcoin. Retail's a little slow coming in. The key here, of course, is we have elections coming here in the U.S. that may create the volatility that you're talking about, which could be positive or negative. We'll see how it plays out. I want to jump over to ETH and altcoins in general. ETH Bitcoin, of course, is touching a trend line. This thing's existed since 2015. If you look at that, let me pop that up in size right there. You can kind of see that altcoin season, but right here is potentially, if we don't break through, we could see an altcoin season starting to come in, maybe early next year or the last month of this year. Does that line up with what you're seeing with Ethereum right now?
Luckily for us, we are seeing at the moment a breakout on Ethereum on the weekly that we saw already by the end of September. And there is a continuation. So there are higher highs and higher lows on the weekly time frame here on the RSI. We talked in the previous episode about this potential target of $10,000 if we were to respect the oscillation nature of Ethereum on each of the cycles. We talk about as well holding this level of support in here that is represented by 2.2K. Going below that 2.2K, we are entering in bear territory for Ethereum. But at the moment, everything is on schedule to go towards the green target. I want to show you a few things about Ethereum as well. So every cycle, Ethereum hits the 50 Fibonacci. So from 2017, we hit in the next cycle the same 50% retracement in here. And on the cycle of 2021, if we extend the Fibonacci from top to bottom, once again, is giving us roughly the 63 level in there, 0.063. This is Ethereum against Bitcoin. That is kind of the target. And unfortunately, this target depends on how high Bitcoin goes. Of course, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, we can very quickly speculate that that will put Ethereum at $6,000. If it goes further beyond, well, we get a higher Ethereum as well.
So there's definitely some big opportunities here with Ethereum. It's just going to be a little bit slower going, I think, for ETH on this, Mariano. I want to jump into Uniswap. If you look at Uniswap right now, they have, of course, integrated now with inside the app where you have basically it's like native bridging. This is one of the disadvantages of Uniswap in the past. That has been solved, and now Uniswap has integrated this. We could see some movement here, and Uniswap also could start to see kind of this uni-chain concept to really grow. What does the chart show you right now if I was doing it, let's say a short-term trade for Uniswap?
Sure. On Uniswap, we had a breakout around early September. Since then, it's just been respecting the support on the weekly time frame. And at the moment, we are seeing some heavy resistance at $8. It's been 3 weeks that we are battling with that level in there. We could consider that the breakout has been retested and confirmed, and that's the good thing. But we really need to get over very soon with this $8. Otherwise, we're going to roll over and start looking into $7, which is the next area of support. We clearly can see that it has held the price in the past, and hopefully that's not the case. And if we break above that $8, the next area of resistance is $9.3. But I want to show you something that is very interesting. If we look at Capital data, I'm going to show you in here, these are the levels of liquidations. And this means that there is loads of shorts at the moment at risk. Many people are shorting Uniswap, and we can see those levels. Where are they placing their stop losses? Those are stop losses and liquidations of accounts from people shorting Uniswap. They got away with doing that in early October. They pushed the price down around 12%, and they think that they can do it once again. That is all the shorting that is taking the place, not allowing the price to go beyond $8. And I think this is going to blow in their faces. So I think it's just a matter of time that the opportunity is seen by the market maker, and they place those orders to buy Uniswap, and they get these people there. Potentially, they are just waiting to trap more shorts in there and then squeeze them out above the $8. There is an opportunity for that, and I hope that's the case because I'm also a Uniswap holder.
Everybody is bailing out of Polygon. What is going on with Polygon right now? If you look at some of the things, Polygon hits its price, hits a 2-year low. A lot of people concerned about this. When you think about this value, down 16% really in the past month, 45% since the beginning of the year, this is a continued, is this a death march for Polygon? What are your considerations right now with Polygon as a token? Would you be in it or not?
So I'm currently not holding Polygon. I used to be quite bullish in the previous cycle on Polygon, and I noticed that they changed the actual ticker from Matic. I think it's still in the US, and on Binance US it's called Matic, and in some exchanges. And on Matic we had a breakout on the 19th of August, and that was a big green candle that faced resistance at roughly 0.51. That was support before, and since then we continue below this trend line. So what happened is that the RSI broke out. Typically, the RSI precedes the price, but we didn't have a follow-up on the price to hit 75 cents. And that is a problem, and that is a sign of weakness. And at the moment, we have a new resistance forming in here, and I wouldn't even touch Matic until this gets above that trend line on the RSI, because this could continue below the trend line doing anything to the downside and just become a free falling knife. But opportunity in terms of oversold is huge, but I ignore the fundamentals of why we are losing even the previous support of June 2022. That's bear market. And we came straight into that. We tried to hold it, but as of this week, we are kind of losing it. I mean, if we were to close on Sunday like this is a big loss for it from the point of view of the technicals.
Van Eck, of course, has enabled staking for Solana. This, of course, is probably causing some of the activity that we've seen on Solana over the last 2 weeks, which has been very, very active upwards. When you look at the Solana chart right now, Mariano, is this one that you would you enter on a Solana trade right now, or just kind of sit there and wait for Solana's next move? Because it did have a nice little regression yesterday. And today, I should say, down to 166.
Let me show you what's going on at the moment. It's a little bit behind what we saw before on Ethereum. Ethereum already did a bunch of additional moves in here in the breakout, but Solana is looking very healthy in here. It broke out in late September. We have higher highs, higher lows. In terms of support and resistance, we are still within the bull flag. I was hoping that we see a breakout above 176, because that is currently holding the price there for a potential continuation. If we want to do a very decent target, we can grab the pole of this and point it toward over $1,000. And I'm a holder of Solana, but I hold a lot more Ethereum, unfortunately, in this cycle. You cannot win everything, but I think if Solana can break above this bull flag at 174, it's gonna be pretty easy to get over the $200. What I'm worried more about Solana is the short-term healthiness of where we are right now. And I think I covered Solana yesterday. In part of what I say is already playing out. We can see the long liquidations are at a peak. How high are we? We're almost $1 billion in liquidations that are accumulated. All depends as well on the healthiness of the Bitcoin move that we are seeing now. Of course, if we go to the low 60s on Bitcoin, then consider that we could potentially hit a lower liquidation on Solana as well.
But if you were trading Solana versus ETH, and let's assume that you had a big bag of Solana, let's just say, 5,000 bag of Solana, 5,000 bag of ETH. Would you consider consolidating both those bags into Solana right now for the upside of what Solana might do in this run?
Here's the thing. I think there is a season for Ethereum, and that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. There is a narrative for using Solana. There are all the meme transactions and all the people speculating in that arena. And Solana makes it extremely easy to do all of that. All this playing and goofing around while Bitcoin doesn't do anything, it seems to be the fun of the year. But once that thing is gone and people start realizing that Ethereum is back, there's the season for Ethereum. I don't want to be the person that says, oh, I sold my ETH at the very bottom. So I will keep it, in other words.
Okay, so you're going to keep both bags. I like your faith in Ethereum there, Mariano. Let's go into SWI real quick, because there has been an adjustment off of its high. The price signals now, though people are still looking at this, that, hey, now we've got USDC in SWI. There's a lot of liquidity now potentially coming into the platform. This could be an opportunity for SWI. But if you look at the chart on SWI right now, and I see a nice little retracement now on SWI. What about you? I mean, because that high was in at what, 234, and now we've pulled back down here to $180 on SWI. What would your chart show? Would this be a good entry point if you were looking at riding SWI on this next bull run?
If I remember right, in the previous video, I stated openly that I was on a short on SWI. And I was feeling quite stressed because the price carry on beyond the level of resistance. I think I entered somewhere around 2.1, and now I'm in the money, so I'm happy that that is playing out. But mainly the reason for me to take that short was when we were looking at the RSI of both Solana and SWI. Solana is somewhere in here. is starting to play out the breakout, and it's got big upside because just of the nature of the oscillations. We are in that moment where we should be expecting big upside for Solana. Whereas SUI had already a run at the top of the RSI. What we are seeing here is the actual weekly RSI. And we say, we are right here. There's still potential for a little bit more upside. We cannot just go into RSI 100. I mean, it has happened in the past, but it's rare that you get something like that. So I entered the short with the expectation of hitting the support. At the moment, SUI weekly RSI is testing the support at 60. And this is a critical moment for SUI. I'm going to explain why. I think that is because if we hold that level of weekly support on SUI, we could see a breakout. We could exit this range in here. And if we hold that, there could be a huge upside for SUI. SUI is roughly around the 200 million market cap, where Solana is a beast of 2 billion. So if SUI was able to do that, great. So I wouldn't necessarily tell you, oh, sell your SUI, because if you see that upside, you're going to just miss the train and hate me for life.
They are now pointing that XRP could rally a little bit, and there's a handful of moves that are kind of pointing at XRP. Obviously, the big BRICS scenario that plays into this, the global, idea of using XRP as a new opportunity to replace SWIFT, which is now starting to look as though it's painting out. What about the chart for XRP? Is there anything that is showing right now for you? Because it's, what is it? It's around 47% with price volatility of about 5.8% just over the last 2 weeks.
On XRP for the short term, I wouldn't say that we are necessarily in a great area for entering. I will wait a little bit longer for finding a better opportunity. If you were sitting on your hands and you were considering just entering here for the short term, no. Maybe for the long term, if you are believing in the long-term value and the fundamentals of XRP, absolutely. We can see that we had a breakout in July, and since then, nothing has happened. The RSI just went sideways, and we are even putting lows on the RSI in here. We just broke below the median that was holding us up until this morning. Now we are below the median and heading back to test once again support. So it's pretty boring action for nothing really going in here. We are losing that level of 53, possibly heading into 48, and just continuing with this drag of up and down on XRP. Hopefully those fundamentals are gonna save the day, but also the amount of longs in here, we are at the top end of longs and they're just getting hammered at the moment. There was too much excitement there, and there is a little bit of profit taking and people being liquidated. The opportunity that I'm seeing for the short term of XRP is these short liquidations that are right above the price. These people that are wanting to short XRP are getting very exposed from 53 all the way to 56. And those liquidations are evident here in the chart. And eventually, when the price reaches a level of interest, potentially that 48, we're going to see a flip of the ask into bid liquidity. When we see that green in there and the liquidations are still there, that could be a great entry for a swing trade, but that is still not the case. If we enter now, we are entering against all that bid liquidity, which is, again, not a great opportunity with all these longs still there with a position open.
Yeah, I think the key here with XRP is there's so many holders that have been in it for so long, in many cases, multi-year holders. So that's been kind of the consistency of it. And any news at all triggers the community, which is one of the strongest communities out there. Hey, Mariano, it's been great having you. Thank you so much for stopping in today. We appreciate the assistance.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Okay. You guys, if you're not in on the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in right now. It's our own custom group where we do additional content, podcasts, additional research. I do an MSI podcast over there that gives a little bit more breakdown on all of our sentiment tools that we use. Of course, if you guys want to reach me out there on X, it's @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.